Good afternoon, welcome to Tábor in the Czech Republic as we get ready to bring you the Women's Elite Cyclo-Cross World Championships. The crowd has built after the junior race. Everyone's been getting into the atmosphere. Let's take a look at some highlights about where we are for these championships. Tábor has hosted these championships previously, and as we look across the course, the conditions are changing all the time, but this is the eagerly awaited women's race. There are so many possibilities about who might be the overall winner of today's event. It's going to be an absolutely enthralling contest. Alongside me, Simon Burney. Simon, we've been out and about over the last couple of hours since the junior race actually finished. Lots of talk amongst the riders, the coaches, the fans are out. It's going to be a pretty exciting afternoon. Absolutely, yeah. I think for the first time in as many years as I can remember, we've got probably more than 2 women on the favourite list. I think we've probably got 6 riders I can think of that could possibly win this race. In the last few years, we've had the Compton, Voss, big showdown, but I think now, after last week's World Cup final in Hoogerheide, we saw both of those not on the form they were hoping to be taken into these championships, and it's opened the door for some new names, and I think one of those is a home country favourite, Katarina Nash. But you know, since the junior race is finished, you can see the snow coming down now. The temperature's increased by a couple of degrees, the snow's fallen. It's definitely changing the circuit again, so last-minute tyre changes and last-minute pressure decisions, and yeah, it's definitely some more work for the mechanics. Here we are then, we'll cover that a little bit more in a second. Marianne Vos has dominated these World Championships, winning 6 times in a row. She also won in 2006. She is the without doubt the best cyclocross rider of her generation. The only other riders to have won in the last few years, Hanka Koop-van-Agel and Marilyn Salvatat, but so far Voss has been the dominant figure in the championships, also finishing second in 2008. As Simon mentioned, Katie Compton has been 3 times second in the last few years, 1 time in 3rd place. As we take a look here at the course to no change, completely the same, but as you mentioned, Simon, it's changed in terms of the surface and how it's going to ride. Yep, definitely. You know, it's become more muddy. It's a frozen, very frozen ground, but the top few centimetres have definitely started to melt. It's very sticky mud as well. The bikes are clogging up. There was definitely see riders going into the pits to change bikes. Here's a little ride around. We know who this is now, don't we? Who's got the GoPros on his bike? Tace Al, I think. It is. Yeah, as we heard, the former Dutch rider, retired last year. Yep. So he went out yesterday, he rode around the course, and he gave us a little bit of an insight as to what it is like. I can't remember whether it was you yesterday who described this to me as like having butter spread on the top of ice. It wasn't me, but it's pretty apt. It's good, isn't it? I can't remember who said that to me yesterday. They said if it starts to if you get an increase in temperature over 0 degrees by the start of the women's race, it will be like riding through butter on glass, actually, or on ice. Either one doesn't really matter. It's just like you think you're going to grip and then you're not going to grip at all. Yeah, definitely. It's very, very hard ground underneath there, so it still hurts when you fall off, but you've just got no traction. Talking to some of the riders before, and tyre pressure's definitely going down now. Some of the sharp, hard ruts that we talked about in the junior race have got a little bit softer, so they can let a bit of air out of the tyres. Helen Wyman
She started off this morning at 14 psi, reduced it to 12 for this afternoon, so she's pretty much riding on rims, but feels like she can get around the corners better with very limited pressure.
12 psi, so if you're out on your road bike, normally you'd be putting 100 plus in. We should just mention our commissars panel. There we go. The president is Jean-Francois Pechot, who until last year actually, was the man who sat in the red car of the Tour de France.
That's right. Yep.
Lots of experience then in these World Championships. The Czech fans are out in massive numbers here in Tábor. They want to see Katarina Nash win this world title this afternoon. She's got everything right so far in her preparations. And here's the start list. Marianne Vos wearing number 1 as the defending champion. But what a team we have got there from the Netherlands, including Sophie de Boer. The Belgian team with the World Cup winner Sanne Cant. And also in there was Ellen van Looy. Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, can she win the World Cyclo-cross title to go with the road title? Helen Wyman, who was the bronze medalist last year, with Nikki Harris, who I think has got her race face on this weekend. Eva Lechner, who won last week in Hoogerheide. Katarina Nash leads the team of the Czech Republic with Pavla Havlíková in there as well. She was smiling yesterday. Katarina Nash today looks a lot more focused on the race. Lindsay Gorell, the only Australian competitor, comes from a mountain bike background from New South Wales, and the first Argentinian rider to ride, Carolina Gomez, also here in the field. So we're going to see a total of 46 riders take to the start, 18 nations. Normally in a World Cup around about 55 riders, but the teams are limited. The snow is falling right across the course, and the riders are now on the start line, trying to keep warm, some of them, and leaving it to the very last minute to take those warm tops off to get things started. So is it going to be a day for the French? Lucie Chanel Lefebvre, as she takes to the start line. Of course, she has finished 3rd in this race in 2013. Katie Compton, the big question mark over Katie Compton. We know she's got asthma, we know she's been ill. Can she just pull something out of the bag to rescue what has been a troubled season? There's Katarina Nash. She travelled here after last weekend's great performance. She went and stayed with her parents in Prague, and now she's here on the start line. It's a big, big day for Katarina Nash. Alongside her, Sanne Cant, who is the rider who won the World Cup. She won 2 rounds of that, and she's been going off form a little bit, but showed signs of coming back. All smiles from Eva Lechner, the rider who won in Hoogerheide last week. And who's to say that this rider isn't going to move now from the silver medal position previously to be the world champion today? You can kind of sense the tension now on this start line. These riders are cold, but they are eager to get going. Ellen van Looy, a consistent rider, always there or thereabouts. Can she pull the big one out of the bag today and take the world title? She's always going to be in the mix. Alongside her, Nikki Harris, a troubled season for her at times. She's finished on the podium in a World Cup. I think Nikki Harris has got the focus today, and alongside her, the rider who was on the podium last year, Helen Wyman, and Marianne Vos is on the 2nd row, as is Pauline Ferrand-Prévot. Simon, you can sense the tension in there. There's a lot of riders who think they can win this world title.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very exciting race. It's all to play for here. It's a lot more open than we've seen it.
Here we go then, they're off the start line. A big charge for this first corner, and Helen Wyman has, I think, taken the march on the left-hand side, or Nikki Harris, one of the British riders, is going for it. And
Wyman
it is
and
Helen
Chanel
Wyman.
Lefebvre.
They go shoulder to shoulder around that first corner. Nikki Harris got a bad start for Great Britain, and is now a lot further down than she would have liked to be. But Marianne Vos will try and get up there as well. Now the big unknown question right now, Harris is back at the front. Is Marianne Vos has got a hamstring injury. Oh, big crash, and Eva Lechner hits the deck.
Lechner and Vos, no, it's not Vos, that's Stoltens.
Yep. Lechner makes a big mistake there, and she is covered in mud. hits the deck and goes down. Here we go, Simon.
Just caught the back wheel of Stolten's, I think, there, just on the same corner that the Italian junior crashed this morning.
It's incredibly slippy out here. And now a problem here for number 34, and that's Martina Mikulaskova of the Czech Republic. And immediately Helen Wyman has gone out, and she is really up for this today as she goes ahead. She was ill last weekend. She had to take some antibiotics, but she said that yesterday she felt for the first time that she was back on it and feeling good. Mikulaskova's taken a long time to get going. That's her race pretty much over. So Marianne Vos, we should just mention, she last week had a terrible day, but she's got a hamstring injury and they've been nursing it and trying to get it to recover.
Yes, and I don't think we really know the full story of how she's feeling this week. She's up there in 4th or 5th. She's at the front of the race where she wanted to be. I think we'll know within a lap or so if she's in good shape or if she's hurting.
There goes Katarina Nash in the blue, followed by Nikki Harris. Katarina Nash, I read a good quote from her yesterday. She was asked what she does with the fact she has a bad start so often, and she said it's better to have a good finish than a bad start.
That's totally right. Now, a bad start for her is, still within the top 10 usually, just a handful of seconds behind, but it always looks worse than it is. And Lechner, that's her race done. That's a big shame.
That is a massive shame. Eva Lechner has had to shoulder her bike. It's a long way to the pits now, and Eva Lechner's day and challenge for the world title, I think we can safely say, unfortunately for the Italians, Lechner's day is over. It's not going to happen now as Wyman shoulders the bike, and Helen Wyman is going out to try and put these riders under pressure, and is using her running prowess. Of course, she was a previous cross-country runner to very good effect.
Yeah, there's not much running on this course, just this flight of steps and a dismount further around the course over some hurdles. It's a rider's course, it's not a running course.
Going round that corner then, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot is in 2nd place. Let's just take a look at what happened here. Another problem, another rider hitting the deck. And
a Czech rider as well, or 2 Czech riders.
4 riders
Hannah
go down.
Payton down in the back there for the British team. Crystal Anthony just squeezing past on the left-hand side of the course.
Sanne van Passen was the Dutch rider who's held up, and because there's so many possibilities of sliding off, your race can be over because of someone else today. Well, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot is at the front. There she is. She's got the yellow shoes on, you can see. I spoke to her about an hour ago. Yesterday she said to me that she didn't feel that she was on the form she wanted to be for this championship. She was tired last weekend after a big training block in Calpe with the Rabo Liv team. But I spoke to her an hour ago and she said today's better and today is a course she likes.
Yeah, I think she's technically very proficient. I don't think the course is going to hold any fears for her at all. She knows how to get in shape for the big day. But as does the rider behind, Marianne Vos.
2 teammates on the road. The current world champion, and oops, another crash at the back.
Ellen Van Looy at the back, just sliding off on that corner. It's going to be everybody's going to have trouble today. Everybody's going to slide off. Everyone's going to have feet down. Everyone's going to make bike changes, and it's just who can deal with them the best is going to come out on top.
In fact, it's Lucy Chanel Lefebvre at the front, isn't it, Simon? I think not Pauline Ferrand-Prévot. It is, and we were picking out. They've all got similar style the way they ride, but Lucy Chanel Lefebvre, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot is the rider. Slightly different helmet on, just a little bit further back. And she is trying to get back to the wheel of Nikki Harris. So Lucy Chanel Lefebvre, who finished 3rd in 2013, is the rider who's taking on the race. There's Katie Compton of the United States of America, wearing number 21. A slow start as usual for her, but Chanel Lefebvre with the yellow shoes, opening up a bit of a gap on Marianne Vos, and Vos looks around to see where everyone else is. Well, there's no signs right now of this hamstring injury.
And there's also no sign in that front group of Katarina Nash right now. You'd expect her to be slightly closer to the front of the action. She's lying in about 7th or 8th, I think. I think that's her approaching the hairpin now.
Here she comes. So Lucy Chanel Lefebvre is the leader of this World Championship as she goes round that corner, foot out and downhill.
It was Chanel Lefebvre that rode past Katarina Nash to get the medal in Louisville a couple of years ago when Nash had bike problems with about 150 metres to go.
Yep. Sanne Cant now at the front as well. She overtakes Marianne Vos, and here is Ferrand Prévot. She works her way back to the leaders. There's Katarina Nash in the blue, white and red of the Czech Republic. Behind her, Christine Majerus,
yep,
the Luxembourg champion, as she gets herself towards the front as well. So this race is lined out, and Chanel Lefebvre is the rider who is putting the rest of the riders in a little bit of trouble right now. But round that corner, very, very rutted, and Sanne Cant all over the place. Marianne Vos wearing full leg warmers to keep that hamstring nice and warm. Doesn't want any problems, particularly with the road season about to start as well. So let's just run through them. Chanel Lefebvre leads, Sanne Cant in second. In 3rd place is Helen Wyman. In 4th place is Marianne Vos. Behind them, just about to appear any moment now, is Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, the mountain biker, the road world champion, as she kicks the bike right-hander, and behind her is Nikki Harris. That's your top 6. Now this is a little bit of a slidey section before you go dropping downhill.
Big steep drop that. That's one of the drops where they were taking the ruts out of it last night, trying to make it safer. It definitely flattens it out, but it's a big, big drop, that one.
There's an awful lot of work gets done around the course. I noticed between the junior race and the women's race, everyone's out, the shovels are out, they're trying to level down these ruts, trying to make the course as safe as they possibly can. And just the technical guys who are out on this course, you just have to take your hats off to them, the way that they managed to get a course rideable and safe for the riders as well. You know, from putting out a course in Milton Keynes.
Yeah, that was Martin Sedden and his crew doing the coursework at Milton Keynes, but they work hard, those guys. Yeah, there's a lot of things happen behind the scenes that people don't know about, but it's a lot of work to put on and keep a 2.5 kilometre course in good shape.
Katarina Nash is working her way back to these leaders now. Oops, oh, that was a heavy fall there, and a few more riders hitting the deck. That looked like it really, really hurt going into the barriers, and it was Julien Verschuren who hit the barriers there. And still, Lucy Chanel Lefebvre has the advantage. I watched her yesterday with Ferrand-Prévot out on the course, and she looked to be riding very, very well. She looked to have the measure of some of the twists and turns and the technical sections of this course, and she's opening up a nice little gap here. About 7 seconds is the gap to her, between her and Marianne Vos. Vos in 2nd place. I wonder what the tactics of Vos are going to be, whether she can just make herself be in contention and then throw all caution to the wind in the last lap or so, just get the leg through to that point.
I think it depends on the state of the injury. I think probably once she started the race, that's forgotten about. I think it'll either hurt or it won't. If it won't hurt, she's going to push on as hard as she can. If it does hurt, she'll try and block it out and push on as hard as she can until it forces her to slow down. But I think looking at the way she started, I don't think there's any big physical issues there. I think it's just a matter of any form that she lost in the time she was trying to recover from that injury last week.
Lucy Chanel Lefebvre then goes through the first lap, her time 9:37. And 9:55 was from the start line. Of course, they start a little bit further back. So this is the rundown then with Lucy Chanel Lefebvre, the leader. Marianne Vos at 7 seconds. Sanne Cant at 7. Pauline Ferrand-Prévot at 7. Helen Wyman at 10 seconds. Katarina Nash is 11 seconds down. Nikki Harris is at 12 seconds. Maris is also in the top 10. Ellen Van Looy at 24, and Caitlin Antonow and Katie Compton are at 32 and 35 seconds respectively.
So no big surprises in the riders we've got at the front. The only person missing from there is Eva Lechner, who we saw have that crash and subsequent bike breakage in the first half of a lap.
Yeah, I mean, it's so difficult for a rider like that, isn't it? She was right on top form last week, and falling and then the bike failing is, well, deeply disappointing. As now we see Sana Kant going to the front of this little trio. Ferran Prevot. To me, Ferran Prevot looks very, very comfortable. Katarina Nash comes back, and Marianne Vos trying to kick on a little bit and give a bit of impetus to the chase of Lucy Chanel Lefebvre. And Ferran Prevot doesn't have to do anything right now. She's not going to chase her teammate.
Wait. Exactly.
Then again,
saying that, she rides to the front, but maybe just to slow it down a little bit rather than to speed it up.
One thing we don't really touch on, and often you see this sport as an individual sport because it is so much pure effort, and can you actually have tactics? But Simon, you know, the technicalities of this sport, once you get really into it with teams, there are team tactics involved here.
There can be for sure, you know, and we've seen it before in past years with Belgian teams that wouldn't work together as a Belgian team because they had professional team loyalties playing a hand. So there'd be a professional team with Belgian and Dutch riders in it, and they would look after a pro teammate rather than a national team one. And it was only when Niels Albert won the Worlds in Hoogerheide that the Belgian team actually gelled and actually agreed to ride for one rider, or to ride as a team, to make sure Belgium won. And since then they've stuck to that mission statement, but we can see now it's not very often where you see more than 2 or 3 of the same nationality at the front of a race, but in this situation Pauline can just sit and follow. She can ride on the front around some of the slower hairpins and just ease off, keep her legs fresh, and let her teammate add a few seconds here and there. And suddenly you'll get to a point where those few seconds will add up, and it'll be 20-25 seconds, and it'll be a hard job for anybody to bring that gap down. It'll need a sustained effort from a Vos or from a Katarina Nash, somebody with the horsepower to bring that back. And even then, Ferran Prevot can still just follow. And we know that she's in good shape. We know she can handle the course. So France at the moment have got, they're in the ideal situation.
They are, aren't they? Ferran Prevot is in absolutely perfect situation. A few riders really suffering up this section. Not only have we got snow, the flares are going off. This is the atmosphere of a World Championship. Look at the crowd, absolutely packed here in Tábor now, as Lucy Chanel Lefebvre's time in the lead looks like it is slowing down now, maybe coming to an end, because another crash there for one of the Czech riders. And that's Carola stepping over.
That's your butter on glass analogy right there. You can see her sliding on her back, just how hard the ground is with just that slime on top of it.
And when you do hit the deck, it's very, very sore. So looking down here, still Chanel Lefebvre leads. It's Ferran Prevot in second, Marianne Vos in third. These riders starting to open up a bit of an advantage. Ferran Prevot is the rider who is trying now to close the gap. Sana Kant changes bikes. That was a fast bike change.
Yeah, she almost missed it.
The bike was still was moving along. Now I talked to Pauline Ferran Prevot about jumping these planks and whether she was going to bunny hop them, and she looked at me and said, no, I'm not going to do that in a World Championship.
No. It's not the ideal surface and gradient for her to jump these. It's too steep an approach to them. There's not enough speed for her to carry into them. I think she was jumping, was it Diegem? I think over Christmas she was jumping the hurdles, and it's totally different.
She did have a wry smile though. She did say, she knows she can do it, but she said, no, not in a World Championship. I'm not going to do that.
But it shows the level that these women are racing at now. That you know, they're having to step up and learn how to do things like that. As soon as the first one does it, then everybody else has to follow. And I remember Helen Wyman saying, right, I've got to spend the summer now learning how to bunny hop, because if Ferran Prevot can do it, I've got to be able to do it as well.
It just shows they're so competitive, aren't they?
Yeah, but then you've got a rider like Klaas van Toornout, the Belgian champion. You never see him do it. He can't do it.
No.
You know, so you've got the level of ability for some of these women is on a par and superior to some of the best guys in the world now.
Well, look at this, French fans. There's about to be a duo at the front because Ferrand Prévot has attacked the group of Marianne Vos, and she is now about to make contact with Lucy Chanel Lefebvre. And you kind of get the sense that this could have been the tactic of France before the start. The Czech coach with Katarina Nash is over the barriers there, cheering her on. Look at her as she stamps her way up the grassy section to try and get back to the wheel of Marianne Vos. She rides a single chainring on the front, Katarina Nash, and she says she always looks like she's in a bigger gear than anyone else, but she's 37 years of age. You're not supposed to ask a woman her age, but we'll tell you anyway. Katarina Nash, 37 years of age, and now really on fire to try and come across to the leaders, and I think she's going to get Marianne Vos very, very soon. And then the charge of Nash is going to be setting sights on going for the French.
Yeah, she's left herself a little bit of work to do there, because the Ferrand Prévot obviously sensed that Vos wasn't going to close that gap down on her own, and she's managed to jump away from Vos, close the gap without taking Vos across, which was a smart move. But we really need now to see Nash. If Nash is going to make an impact on the front of this race, she needs to close that gap fairly soon.
A good bit of chatting going on between Ferrand Prévot and Lucy Chanel Lefebvre. This two-up little time trial is working well between them. A few questions from you on Twitter about other countries taking back. Michael Dick is riding for Canada, and we'll give you updates on where the first countries are coming as we get towards the kind of second, third laps. We'll keep making sure we tell you where they are, because I know there's many of you sitting at home. You might be sitting in, well, Michael Dick is riding in 16th place right now for Canada, 59 seconds down. Simon's just pointed to the screen for me. A great performance there from the rider from Canada. Yeah,
Michael Dick was, she was top 20, I think, last year at the Worlds. I think she was about 19th or 20th, so Canada, top 20. I think announced yesterday we're going to see a World Cup in Canada for the first time in Montreal, round 2 next year in September, so Michael's going to have some great reasons to go out training in the summer, come into the season hot next year.
Absolutely.
Show up on home ground.
Well, it looks like Sanne Cant now is making her way across to these leaders. She had a fantastic World Cup campaign. She managed to win 2 rounds of that World Cup, and then had that little dip in the middle of the season, which was to be expected, but she then came back strongly and she won in Hoogerheide, and she is now on track to catch the 2 French riders at the front. Sanne Cant is making a big, big move here. When Sanne's on form, see, she was under pressure the last few races until she started to come good again. You can tell she's really under pressure. She hunches the shoulders right over. Here she looks a lot more relaxed, more chilled out, despite having her right foot right out of the pedal and leaning right round that corner. But Katarina Nash is using Marianne Vos now to get to the front of this race, and being urged on by the atmosphere. Despite living in near San Francisco, she lives in Berkeley. She's there, and not far behind, as Simon points out, is the British rider Nikki Harris, who's also in the mix. Coming to the end now of the second lap.
So we're going to see 3 to go. It'll be a 5-lap race. Hopefully these will just ease up, look at each other on the road, and allow Nikki Harris to get back on.
She's certainly given it full throttle as
if Harris can just bridge that gap, take a breath before they leave the road again, which she's done.
Well, they're all freewheeling as they go past our commentary box. This is going to be a very, very interesting race. Lucy Chanel Lefebvre's lap time was just 9:37, the same. Helen Wyman's trying to get across now as well.
15 seconds down for Wyman. So that lead group is the one we were expecting it to be. 6 riders strong. Nikki Harris is probably the rider that we would not expected. We would have expected Lechner to be in there. Harris was somebody we hoped would be there from a British point of view, but she's replaced Lechner.
Sophie de Boer has just gone past her. She's actually ill, Sophie de Boer. She'd been feeling all right, but she's not so good today. The Spanish rider's a little bit further back, so let's just run through some places for you. So the top 6 are Lucie Chanel Lefebvre, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot of France, Sanne Cant of Belgium, Marianne Vos of the Netherlands, Katarina Nash of the Czech Republic, Nikki Harris in making up that 6-rider breakaway, Helen Wyman in 7th for Britain, Christine Maheras in 8th for Luxembourg, Ellen Van Looy of Belgium in 9th. Katie Compton, 33 seconds down for the United States of America in 10th place. If you're a fan of the United States, Caitlin Antonow is running 12th. Also in the top places, 16th is Mikhail Dick. Also Rachel Lloyd of the United States in 19th. And further on back, the first Italian, Chiara Tiocchi, is in 24th place so far. Amira Meller of Great Britain is doing very well, considering she's about 17 years of age, one of the youngest riders. In fact, perhaps the youngest rider in the race is in the top 30. As we look at this group riding together, and they're no longer anyone prepared to take on the workload.
And some good news from Mira Meller and her protégés. The young women have now got their own World Championships. As from next year, there's going to be a World Championship category that's going to combine junior and under 23 for the women. So great opportunity for people like Amira, 17, 18 years old. They've got a few years left in that category. Great chance to look out for a world title before they get to elite. Yeah,
and if you've been riding at elite level in a World Championship and then you're allowed to ride that, you've already dealt with the pressure of an elite championship, then you know, you're in great shape, aren't you?
Absolutely, yeah.
So Pauline Ferrand-Prévot leads, behind her Sanne Cant.
Try and pull the spectator off the course.
They dropped her flare, or dropped his hot dog, unfortunately. Ferrand-Prévot. Helen Wyman now is making her way back to the leaders as well. Lucie Chanel Lefebvre's earlier efforts are starting to hurt. Marianne Vos is digging in. She is giving this everything she can give. 6 world titles in a row for Marianne Vos. She's such a fighter, and I don't know if you saw me tweet last week, but you just have to admire Marianne Vos. Last week she had a terrible day. She got to the finish line. Most riders, given their opportunity, would have got off, carried on the bike, ridden to the camper van, got in, shut the door, and wouldn't have spoken to anyone for ages. In fact, she got off her bike, took her mitts off, and stood there signing autographs for a bunch of young kids right on the finish line. As we see an attack now, and the attack is coming from Pauline Ferrand-Prévot. So she's just testing these riders out now. And behind her is Sanne Cant. Still Marianne Vos maintaining her 3rd position all the time. Katarina Nash is able to go with these accelerations. She'll just bide her time. We normally see her wait for the last couple of laps, and then she gives it full throttle. As Ferrand-Prévot now accelerates hard, and she's using the sections where she can use the speed that she has on the road to very good effect as Marianne Vos goes into the pits.
Looks like the person that's suffering from that attack is Lucie Chanel Lefebvre, who's just left a little bit of daylight go between her and Katarina Nash at the back of that group. Marianne Vos with Nash. Wyman then, I can see Chanel Lefebvre as well. Good opportunity to leapfrog her to try and make her way back to that front group.
Well, it's an intriguing race. We always knew it was going to be. We know that there are 6 or 7 riders, maybe 8 riders who thought they could win this world title. We are seeing 6 of them at the front. Helen Wyman is so close to being where she was last year. She'll get stronger as this race goes on sometimes. If she can just ride through that earlier, she went out a bit too hard, maybe. Here is a little bit of a problem for one of the riders, another problem for one of the Italians.
And Elle Anderson and Amira Meller just going past there, and Crystal Anthony from the US.
But Ferrand-Prévot now has a little bit of a gap as she looks around to see where the rest of the riders are. And the answer is that Katarina Nash now is in the bronze medal position. Marianne Vos is in 4th. Nikki Harris is yo-yoing as she tends to do. Harris will always give absolutely everything she can give. She'll just desperately try and hold on. And then she previously came from a track and road background, try and give herself a chance of a sprint finish to try and get a medal if she can. But Ferran Prevot now is not looking back. She is kicking on, and she is now trying to put paid to the efforts of everyone else as Katarina Nash goes to the front, covered in mud, the snow's falling, it's freezing cold. But the atmosphere that these fans are producing is so warm. Ferran Prevot now leads this World Championship. As Simon's mentioned, 5 laps it's going to be. And Sanne Cant is going to make contact now with Ferran Prevot. And then it's going to be all about the bronze medal at this moment in the race. Katarina Nash. She takes slightly different line round a lot of the corners, I've noticed. I don't know if it comes from being a mountain biker so much. She tends to pick a route around the course, which for me seems a lot quicker than everybody else. I noticed her last week taking slightly different lines around the corners. Or maybe it's just that she's able to corner so fast because of her background.
Yeah, I think the mountain, well, yeah, it's a generalisation. Mountain bikers generally good bike handlers, good bike riders. They're used to looking at line choices. Having said that, cyclo-cross riders, you know, courses change more in cyclo-cross than during the course of the race than a mountain bike race. But yeah, there's always different approaches. I think if you looked at these 5, they'll all pretty much take different lines, but they're all very aware of what they're capable of doing. Some prefer to, like Ferran Prevot, we saw her swinging herself round on the posts on the 180-degree bends. Some prefer to go wide and pedal around them. There's not necessarily a right way and a wrong way. There's just the quickest way for you in a lot of these cases. But this is changing a lot. You know, the surface is changing, and they all keep an eye on where there might be grip, where they might slide off.
Well, pulling Ferran Prevot to me before the start, she just looked like she had gone out, ridden a course and gone, this is my day. She had that sense of, yep, I know this course I can win on. Whereas yesterday, she didn't seem quite so confident. As Nikki Harris tries to work her way back to the wheel of Marianne Vos. And Vos is trying to stay with Katarina Nash. It's a yo-yo day, isn't it? Sometimes you look and someone is suffering, then they manage to get themselves back together. But Ferran Prevot so far has ridden a race which has been exemplary. No major mistakes.
But the gap's not there, it's not growing yet. It's still, you know, she's a handful of seconds, but one bike change will negate that advantage. One slide on the corner.
And with the mud that is being thrown up now, these bikes are going to clog up. She has to go to the pits at some point.
You'd expect them to. Yeah, I think just drive chain, tyres may be clogging as well.
Downhill, fast and slick section.
Yeah, we've seen Cant and Vos go in for bikes.
Nikki Harris absolutely splattered in mud. Right on the wheel of Marianne Vos, comes back now, but Ferran Prevot is just riding tempo right now. She gave it a good kick as she comes into the final turn in towards the finish line to complete another lap. And this group are all together. They've lost one rider on that lap. It was 6 last time. This time it is going to be 5 riders who are going to cross the line within a stone's throw of winning this world title. But the leader, as she goes flying past our commentary box, is Pauline Ferran Prevot. And behind her is the group led by Katarina Nash.
5 or 6 seconds, I think, to that group. It's not much, but right now she's in control where she wants to be for sure. Chanel Lefebvre on her own in 6th. Wyman didn't quite make that junction to her. She'll come through in about 27 seconds down.
That lap time was 9:44 for Pauline Ferran Prevot. The fastest lap has just been set, and that is Eva Lechner, not surprisingly, who is a long, long way down. But Eva Lechner is the fastest lapper on the field at 9:31, which is significantly faster than anybody. But the chances of Eva getting anywhere back towards the race is just not going to happen. Just shows she's on fantastic form.
Well, that's amazing. 12 or 13 seconds faster than that lead group, Lechner. And just massive respect for carrying on. She was last, the bike was broken, she had a huge run to that pit. She must be so far behind, but she's to carry on and still produce fast lap times, that's great to see.
Well, we'll try and get an idea where she is. Katie Compton right now, for those of fans of Katie, she's just gone past our commentary box and she is in 14th place. Caitlin Antonou is in 11th place. The Canadian rider Michael Dick has now moved into 13th place, so a great performance by the Canadian rider. Sophie de Boer is in 10th place for the Netherlands, as we look to see where the rest of the riders are. Simon will keep his eyes peeled on who's coming past the commentary position. As Marianne Vos, Katarina Nash, Sanne Kant and Nikki Harris continue with their pursuit of Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, who now has an advantage of, it says 6 seconds on our screen, but I'm not so sure. It looks to me like it's a lot bigger than that, as Nash tries to bring these riders back to the front, but she won't want to be doing all the work because she'll just carry Marianne Vos, who just wants a remote control armchair ride, across to Pauline Ferrand-Prévot. Nash making a little bit of a mistake round that corner and sliding sidewards as Marianne Vos uses the barrier to turn the corner. Pauline Ferrand-Prévot not absolutely flat out. She's got the tricolour socks on today to match the French kit, you'll notice. To the top of the climb now. This is where most of the fans are, right up there cheering these riders on. Sanne Kant's bike absolutely covered in slick wet mud, but she's now attacking yet again to try and get herself across to the French World Road Race Champion. What a day it would be if Ferrand-Prévot takes Marianne Vos's Cyclo-Cross World title, having already taken her Road World title as well. And they ride for the same team.
Yeah, that would be impressive.
The medals are still anybody's. Remember, as we've said, it's slick, it's wet, it's icy, it's freezing cold, and anything can happen in the next couple of laps into the finish. We hope they don't have any technical problems, but these medals are not over yet. We saw early on Gage Hecht, who just made that one little error on the run into the finish line earlier on today and lost the chance of winning the bronze medal. I know the American team, just look and see Ferrand-Prévot going, oops, she fell on that corner. So as we're just saying, this race definitely isn't over, and if you fall on the gear side of the bike as well, then anything could happen.
Yeah, exactly. It's given Sanne Kant the opportunity to just stick a few seconds back. Not quite on the wheel, but only probably 3 or 4 seconds now behind. Yeah, oh, right there, a couple of seconds.
I think Ferrand-Prévot's got gear trouble here. She's gone into the pits, changes bike. She looks around to see where Sanne Kant is, and she also changes bike. So perfect chance there. Ferrand-Prévot doesn't lose anything to the second place rider. And on a nice clean bike, which will be muddy very, very quickly. Nikki Harris comes charging her way into the pits. She takes a bike as well, and she's going to go out. Nikki Harris now into bronze medal position for Great Britain. Behind her is the Netherlands rider Marianne Vos. Behind her, the rider from the Czech Republic, Katarina Nash, with the entire weight of this nation here in Tábor on her shoulders.
Eva Lechner's just gone across the finish line there in 43rd place, 4 minutes 40 behind.
And the first Australian competitor to take part in these World Championships has just crossed the line as well. Lindsay Gorell, another mountain biker. And Lucy Chanel Lefebvre is coming back a little bit to these leaders. So having gone out and set the tempo earlier on with an opening lap of 9:37, she then started to fade a little bit, but Chanel Lefebvre is starting to come back to the front of this race. It's still ebb and flow of the different emotions and feelings of these athletes as their bodies put them under pain and they feel the pressure, and then they get a little bit more motivation, then the morale takes a little bit of a chink if they have a little bit of a mistake or a fall on this slick surface. But Ferran Prévot is still the leader. Sanne Cant takes a totally different line around that corner, and Marianne Vos is still there, even with this hamstring injury, and she's still in with a chance of defending her title.
It's Nash, the one that's lost out in this flurry of activity in the last half a lap or so, losing touch with Harris and Vos.
9 seconds now is the advantage of Ferran Prévot and Sanne Cant to Marianne Vos. In fact, it's been cut now to 6 seconds. And Nikki Harris at 7, Katarina Nash at 10, Lucy Chanel Lefebvre at 16 seconds right now. It is an enthralling race, one of those races you can just sit and watch as Sanne Cant now attacks Pauline Ferran Prévot and tries to go away. I still won't want to call this. It's any one of these 6 riders can win this race right now.
Absolutely, yep. I would say it's going to be relatively hard for one of those 3 at the 3rd, 4th, 5th to come back. I think we might see a situation like we had in the junior race where there'll be an interesting race for that last medal. Somebody's going to finish 4th and be desperately disappointed, but right now that gap between Cant and Ferran Prévot is growing slightly to Vos. I don't think Vos has got the firepower that we normally see her with to close that gap down. I think that would have been shut down.
Marianne's got that really kicking, urgent style, hasn't she? And if every time she's kicking the pedals that hamstring is giving her grief, then you can totally understand it. Katarina Nash diving off that drop-off to try and get back to the wheel if she can. But right now the leader, Sanne Cant, 2nd place, Pauline Ferran Prévot. And Ferran Prévot she doesn't like this corner at all, makes another little mistake and has to get off the bike, and now she's having to run when Sanne Cant is already riding. And you saw Ferran Prévot for the first time really had to put some pressure on there. She sensed that Sanne Cant was going to go away from her with that little error, and now she's trying to ride back to her, goes very, very close to both sides of these barriers, and Marianne Vos is now in touching distance of them as well.
Exactly what we were saying about cornering. You know, Ferran Prévot, she's taking the inside line on all those corners. Cant is going outside, carrying on pedalling. Not significantly faster either of them, just a different approach to the same problem.
All around this course there are flags and banners of Katarina Nash. But Ferran Prévot is working her way back to the wheel of Sanne Cant. Well, Ferran Prévot is a rider who can ride any discipline. She rides mountain bikes, cyclo-cross, she rides on the track, she rides on the road. And people have asked her many, many times, when are you going to choose between them? And she says, well, I don't need to. I like riding all of them. I just like riding my bike, to be fair.
Win a world title in them all, why do you have to choose?
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe when one starts to suffer, she can drop it in favour of another. But right now, she's master of most things she puts her hand to.
Well, the Belgian fans peering over the barriers here to see the World Cup winner, Sanne Cant, in the colours of Belgium now as we get towards the end of another lap. Nikki Harris takes it wide and powers away onto the wheel of Marianne Vos. This is the business end of this race. 1 lap of these World Championships left to go. And it's Sanne Cant, the World Cup winner, who leads across the line. Ahead of Pauline Ferran Prévot. Behind her is Marianne Vos. Behind her is Nikki Harris, and then Katarina Nash. 1 lap of racing to go, and the gap now is 7 seconds. Lucy Chanel Lefebvre crosses the line now, and she's a few more seconds back. She's at 21. The medals will be decided between Sanne Cant, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, Marianne Vos, Nikki Harris and Katarina Nash. They are the riders who are going to decide who stands on the podium. And now Marianne Vos makes a big charge and takes Katarina Nash with her. Marianne Vos senses the possibility of winning another world title, and she's trying now to close the gap on Sanne Cant and Pauline Ferrand-Prévot. And Nikki Harris and Katarina Nash are just trying to hold on to the wheel of the world road race champion previously, the 7 times world cyclo-cross champion, who's bringing them back to the front. That last lap time was 9:48, so we've got 9:37, 9:37, 9:44, 9:48, and Ferrand-Prévot now goes to the front, goes up those 2 little obstacles that you have to go up, 2 little ramps. Marianne Vos is hunting them down right now. She is using her speed that she has on the road to just try and ride these harder sections to get herself to the front. Ferrand-Prévot glances across to see Marianne Vos, and now she's going to have to attack hard. This is going to be a scintillating last lap as Katarina Nash tries to stay on the wheel of Marianne Vos. Nikki Harris digging in here. Can Harris bring home another medal here for Great Britain in these World Championships after Helen Wyman took the bronze last year?
Harris just keeps yo-yoing there, but she's the one. She's just got to hang in as long as she can. She just keeps losing a few lengths here and there, but she keeps clawing it back. It's all been left to Vos to lead that chase. Katarina Nash has gone now to try and bring it back.
Nikki Harris catches the wheel of Katarina Nash, overtakes Marianne Vos.
Suddenly it's Vos that's suffering.
Oh, she put in a massive turn to try and bring herself back to the front of the race. And now it's about Sanne Cant, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot. Behind them is Katarina Nash as they hit the climb of these steps for the final time. Still, these medals have not been decided as Harris goes side by side with Katarina Nash, the Czech Republic rider, as they all get on the bikes now. The Czech fans trying to lean themselves over the barriers and give Katarina Nash a little bit of a push to give her just a little bit of help to get a medal if she can. But is it going to be gold, silver or bronze? Because still, Sanne Cant is not helping Ferrand-Prévot at all. And Harris now yo-yos again and goes to the right-hand side. Meanwhile, Vos gets that urgent style back on and looks like she has got a little bit more energy back in those legs somehow. The crowd are going totally and utterly nuts. Outside our window, Yoda and Boba Fett are jumping up and down. There's a man in an ostrich suit. He's going pretty crazy. And the Belgians just cannot wait to see if they can get the gold medal with Sanne Cant. The French are going wild as well. It is everyone peering at the screens. It is truly a fantastic race between these women as Ferrand-Prévot now goes to the front. Yet again, she's been the rider who has tried to take this race on. Behind her is still the Belgian World Cup winner. Can she win the world title? It will be a season that she will never forget if she does. She'll have won the World Cup. She'll have won. Oh, she almost went into the pits and didn't want to as she slid around that corner. And Marianne Vos is going to go into the pits.
And can't take from Ferrand-Prévot to the finish there. She's going to be a faster finisher for sure. Nash doesn't take a bike.
Katarina Nash is gambling on going to the front now without taking a bike to secure a medal. Marianne Vos, though, has come out of the pits in front of Nikki Harris. So Harris now is the rider who's suffering in this front group.
Heavy legs there for Ferrand-Prévot. You can feel the pain. She can barely get over that first barrier. It's a high one. Nikki Harris as well.
Those
legs. Walking over the barriers.
Nikki Harris, you can see how much this is hurting all of them. As Katarina Nash now puts in a big surge to try and get to the front of this race. This is so close between them. The gap is only 6 seconds and still it's Ferrand-Prévot going to try and win the World Cyclo-Cross Championship for women. Sana Kant is refusing to give her an inch, and don't barge her, Ferrand-Prévot, she will just knock you out of the way. She might be a small young French rider, but she just is such a tremendous competitor. She refuses to give in. Nikki Harris's legs now are hurting. Is she going to get a medal? She looks like she's drifting away because Sana Kant now attacks an inside line for Ferrand-Prévot. She does that all the time.
Sounds like Minnie Mouse, rides like Mighty Mouse, I think, Ferrand-Prévot.
Absolutely.
You wouldn't think that the voice that comes out of that body, she sounds so frail and she is so hard, Ferrand-Prévot.
She is really, really tough. I've seen her take that inside line, shoulder on, it doesn't matter. As far as she's concerned, she rules the roost. And you try and barge her out of the way, you get a big, big shock. Katarina Nash now trying to go for the bronze medal. Marianne Vos, what a performance from her today. Nikki Harris is going to try and get herself back there to have a chance of getting on the podium. Right now it looks like these medals are going between these two riders as Ferrand-Prévot goes on the inside line again. She is refusing to give an inch to anybody. She does not want Sana Kant to take any form of a lead, and I think if it comes to the road, your money's on Ferrand-Prévot. She's a road rider, she's a good sprinter, and she would take the World Championship. Sana Kant now under pressure, the shoulders hunch for the first time as she tries to stay with the fast-moving French rider. The French are cheering her on. Ferrand-Prévot, is it going to be her day? Can she pull on the rainbow bands? She couldn't believe it when she won in Ponferrada, but now she's got the morale and the skills of a world champion, and she is now going to try and take this Cyclo-Cross World title. Down the drop-off. Sana Kant losing a few lengths again as Ferrand-Prévot tries to put the pressure on to make her make a mistake. Nikki Harris is trying to get back there to take a bronze medal if she can. Katarina Nash wants the medal for the Czech Republic.
This was the bank that Ferrand-Prévot struggled on last time, and she made it through this time, still in front of Kant. And the rainbow jersey is going to go to one of these two now for sure. That third place is, the gap's opened.
Oh, big attack there from Ferrand-Prévot.
Ferrand-Prévot stayed on the bike.
Yep, she looked around, she used the barrier actually. She realised that Sana Kant had shouldered the bike, and she then really attacked hard, but she almost makes a mistake round that corner.
This is like the finish of Milton Keynes when Kant was with Compton.
Exactly.
And we thought that Compton had got it.
Oh, Katarina Nash
is
crashes.
off. We thought Compton had got it. She came into the finishing straight with a 3 or 4 bike lengths lead, and Kant never gave up. Kant's a fighter, she's not going to give this up.
Nikki Harris
gets a push.
Is looking like she's got to hunt down Marianne Vos to take a bronze medal here.
500 metres to go. There's no time.
Ferrand-Prévot.
See who's going to go into the pits.
Who's going to get this? Ferrand-Prévot goes round there. Marianne Vos is in bronze medal position, which is incredible considering she's hardly been able to ride. Never mind putting the pressure to get a medal. Nikki Harris.
Oh, Nash is off again.
She crashes again.
That's opened the door lap for Harris.
It's been a bad last lap for Katarina Nash. Harris is going to get 4th at least, but can she get the bronze medal from Marianne Vos, which would be a massive turn up for the books. Sana Kant, as you said though, does have a sprint. Here we go then. They've got one long section, they're then going to turn left. You can't make a mistake on this final corner. It's slick. Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, Sana Kant. Behind them is Marianne Vos. Ferrand-Prévot takes the inside line, but I think she didn't quite get that one right. She's now going to kick hard. Sana Kant sprinting. Ferrand-Prévot, look at the face on the French rider. Sana Kant trying to come back at her. Who is going to take it on the line? It is Pauline Ferrand-Prévot. She takes the world title. Behind her is Sana Kant. Now there's going to be a sprint for the bronze, but it is Marianne Vos who is going to take the bronze medal. She's just going to be ahead of Nikki Nikki Harris. Marianne Vos, very well deserved. She takes bronze. Nikki Harris takes 4th place for Great Britain in the World Championships. And just behind them is going to be Katarina Nash. Well, a few mistakes on the final run into the finish. High fives all round. What a season she's had. Katarina Nash takes 5th on the day.
What a fantastic race. Fantastic. That always had the recipe of being the best race of the weekend, and if we have a men's race that can match that, then, well, that's why people watch cyclo-cross.
That was one of the best bike races we've seen, certainly the best cyclo-cross race we've seen this season so far. What a race between these two riders. Sana Kant and Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, who's pretty emotional here at the finish line. She is now the World Road Race Champion and the World Cyclo-cross Champion, as we now count in the rest of the riders. Here comes Helen Wyman, bronze medalist last year. She's going to finish again in the top 10. Wyman finishes in 7th at 1 minute 20. Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, yeah, crying her eyes out as the way that she did in Ponferrada. She couldn't believe it there. She can't believe it here, I don't think. But when I spoke to her earlier on today, she just had the whole morale of someone who believed she'd gone out on a course that she felt was going to be a world title winning course.
Great ride from Christine Majerus there in top 10.
Absolutely.
9th place. World Championships going to Luxembourg in 2 years.
Teammate, of course, of Lizzie Armistead on the road. I don't know if Pauline Ferrand-Prévot is going to stop crying all the way through the podium presentation. The diminutive figure of the French rider who's got so much power in those legs. Yesterday I watched her ride up the climb from here, and the way she climbed was just so impressive. Well, she's just behind our commentary box right now.
Caroline Manny in 11th, so 3 French in the top 11, which is a great day for them.
And for the Canadians, Michael Dick is in 13th place.
12th place there, Caitlin Antonou in 13th.
And behind them is going to be the Italian rider, Alessar Zuffi. And another Czech rider on her way to the line, Martina Mikolaskova.
Tough conditions
Sanne van
today,
Kassen.
Anthony.
Oh, yeah.
Hard day. It's cold out there, still snowing. Course changing by the minute.
You have to be a tough bike rider to win today.
For sure, yeah.
Pavla Havlikova thanks her country folk for cheering her on today. Chio Garcia of Spain finishing there. Here we go. Here's the run-in, Simon, to the finish. The last few little turns of Pauline Ferrand-Prévot out on the course earlier on. And then we'll see the run-in, I'm sure, to the finish line. What a day for her.
Výsledek do 15. místa, do 16. místa, kde na 16. figuře je v konečném účtu i naše Martina Mikulášková, a to po těch peripetích na startu v žádném případě není špatné. Výsledný Martinín čas bylo 52 minut 11 sekund a ztráta na Zlato-Prebotové rovné 3 minuty. A 21. místo pro Pavlu Havlíkovou.
Well, the face on Pauline Ferrand-Prévot shows you just how much that meant. Here's the result then after 49 minutes of racing. Pauline Ferrand-Prévot is the world champion of cyclocross. Sanne Kant of Belgium takes the silver medal. Marianne Vos on the podium again, continues her record. She doesn't retain her world title. It goes to her teammate on the road, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot. Nikki Harris of Great Britain takes a 4th place. Katarina Nash 5th and Lucy Chanel Lefebvre in 6th. Here's the rundown of the top 20 riders, which include Michael Dick in Canada in 12th, Caitlin Antonou in 13th place. The snow is falling now.
Eva Lechner just finishing there, 31st place. Only lost a few seconds on that last lap to the leaders. Great ride from her. Great to finish that after her first lap problems.
And the fastest lap of the race in 9:31, an average speed of 19.6 kilometres an hour for Eva Lechner.
The young Brit that we talked about earlier, Amira Meller, 17 years old, finished 28th. Great ride for her. Very impressive for her first elite World Championships. Great things to come from her in years to come, I'm sure. Hannah Payton just finishing 34th, her teammate. 5.5 minutes down. Impressive for the young riders not to get pulled on the 80%. It is a long lap here, but even so, 5 minutes behind is very, very good.
Well, here's some highlights of today's race as we get ready for the podium presentation. As we wait now for the podium presentation, not to be the day of Katarina Nash, but it's the day of Pauline Ferrand-Prévot. She is now the World Road Race Champion. She's the National Cyclo-Cross Champion of France, the National Time Trial Champion, National Road Race Champion, National Mountain Bike Champion. She is a dominant figure. She won Flèche Wallonne last year at the top of the Mur de Huy. And she now adds the World Cyclo-cross title to all the titles that she has won so far. It's such an impressive palmarès. This 22-year-old rider from Reims in France has already won so much. How much is she going to win before the end of her career? She first came to prominence in 2009 when she was the winner of the European Junior Time Trial Championship. And since then, she has been on a meteoric rise to win everything. So everyone making their way now to the podium presentation where we'll see the medals awarded. And any moment now, I think, as usual, we will hear from the rider who has won today. The crowd are getting ready to welcome Pauline Ferrand-Prévot onto the podium. More Czech riders just finishing. I've just seen Karla Stepanova cross the line to complete the course. But let's get ready now. Let's hear from the new World Cyclo-Cross Champion, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot.
Pauline, congratulations. What a fantastic race you put out.
Yeah, it was a fantastic race for me and I'm very happy. I really didn't expect to win today, so I'm really happy. It was an exciting race, and sprint I said, okay, I don't have to turn back and just ride and try to win, so I'm really happy.
You passed Sanekant in one of the last turns. How did you manage to do that?
I don't know, I tried to be really clean in my lines, and I say I have to pass in the top of the lap, and after I try to don't turn back and just go full gas until the finish line.
We saw you crying at the end. Was this medal, was this title more important than in Ponferrada for the World Championships?
Yeah, it's my second world title in a few months, so it's fantastic for me. And yeah, I'm not cyclo-cross woman, so yeah, it's. I don't say what I have to. I don't know what I have to say, but for me it's really great here.
Thank you very much. One question in French, just for the French public, something to say for you.
Je voudrais remercier avant tout ma famille et puis voilà, tout le public français qui me suit depuis le début de ma carrière. Et voilà, c'est pour eux aujourd'hui que j'ai gagné, donc je suis vraiment super fière.
Merci beaucoup, congratulations.
Merci.
Thanks.
Pauline Ferrand-Prévot then, an emotional winner of today's race. She says she's not a cyclocross rider. Of course, there at the end, thanking her family, thanking the French public and everyone for their support in helping her win today. She says she's not a cyclocross rider.
She's a bike rider.
I think that's a fair summary. She certainly is a bike rider. At 22 years of age, just so impressive, so competitive. And as you're right, that quiet voice belies the power that this rider puts in on a bike.
Yeah, and determination as well. Those three medalists, you know, that is the epitome of determination in sport. None of them wanted to give up. All of them wanted to win. Sanne Cant, you know, I'm sure she was knowing if it came to the finish that she was going to struggle to beat Ferrand-Prévot in a sprint, but she never gave up. And after the season she's had, that was a great ride by Sanne. Voss, obviously injured, but never gave up. Just, yeah, cyclo-cross racing, bike racing at its best, you know. We don't get much better than that.
No, absolutely. It was a stunning competition between those riders. For so long we had 6 riders who we thought could win. Then it went down to 5. Katarina Nash maybe just pushing that little bit hard at the end to just try and get the medal for her country. But here we are now with the presentation ceremony of the World Cyclo-Cross Championships as we present the medal winners.
The award ceremony of the 2015 UCI Cyclo-cross World Championships for the category of women.
Slavnostní vyhlášení pořadí mistrovství světa cyklokrosu 2015 kategorie ženy.
In third place and winner of the bronze medal, Marianne Vos of the Netherlands.
Na třetí místě se umístila a bronzovou medaili získává Marianne Vos, Nizozemí.
The bronze and silver medal will be presented by Mr. Marian Stetna, member of the UCI Management Committee.
Bronzovou a stříbrnou medaili předá pan Marian Štětina, člen řídící komise Mezinárodní cyklistické unie UCI.
The bronze medalist Marianne Vos to go with her silver in 2008 and 7 world titles.
Na druhé místě se umístila a stříbrnou medaili získává Sanne Cantová, Belgie.
Silver medalist Sanne Cant deeply disappointed on the podium, but what a furious challenge she put in. The world champion, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot of France.
The rainbow jersey and the gold medal will be presented by Ms. Tracy Gaudry, Vice President of the UCI.
Nový trikot mistryně světa zlatou medaili předá pan Tracy Gaudry, viceprezident Mezinárodní cyklistické unie UCI.
Tracy Gaudry presents Pauline Ferrand-Prévot with the rainbow bands and the gold medal. And so the flowers will be presented.
Vítězce předává pan magistr Bohuslav Sobotka, předseda vlády České republiky.
The flowers for third and second place will be presented by Mr. Jan Mládek, Ministry of Industry and Trade for the Czech Republic.
Květiny za třetí a druhé místo předá pan inženýr Jan Mládek, kandidát věd, ministr průmyslu a obchodu České republiky.
And now the national anthem of France.
May we have your attention now for the national anthem of France.
Dámy a pánové, nyní žádáme o vaši plnou pozornost, protože zazní státní hymna Francie na počest mistryně světa.
Pauline Ferrand-Prévot is the world cyclo-cross champion. A slightly different version of the French national anthem to that which we're used to. Maybe a little bit updated or something, but she sang along, and there are your medalists. Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, Sanne Cant and Marianne Vos, the top three in this World Championship today. Well, Simon, a great first day of competition, a fantastic performance by Simon Andreasen of Denmark, and that race was something special.
It was, and now going into tomorrow, we've got some snow falling tonight, we've got some minus temperatures, and then tomorrow morning, under 23 men, elite men in the afternoon. If we can match today's excitement and action, then yeah, it'll be one of the best weekends of world mountain bike action, sorry, world cyclo-cross action that we've seen for a long time.
All smiles then. That diamond is sparkling on the teeth, and it's getting ever brighter with every title that she wins. Sanne Cant, very, very cold, a huge effort from her today. Pauline Ferrand-Prévot will sign the jersey. There she is. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's action from the cold of Tábor here in the Czech Republic. It's been a pretty special day of racing, as Simon said. We're going to look forward to bringing you more action from these World Championships tomorrow as we look out across the course. We're going to leave you with some highlights of the sights and sounds of today's women's race and bid you goodbye. Cyclo-cross.